Sagicor Payment Gateway. Integrate in as little as 30 minutes. Conditions apply. The time by Sagicor Bank is...
It is 7 o'clock. Time now for the Morning Watch.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM, the number one gospel station in Jamaica. I am your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also check us out on Love 101 FM, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live in the main watch today. The Supreme Court of the United States of America overturning Roe versus Wade, that very famous abortion case of 1973. In the second watch, will Jamaica's laws be impacted by the pending or the new to come ACP EU agreement? In our social media question, we ask, how do you think the U.S. Supreme Court overturning the Roe versus Wade landmark abortion case will impact us in Jamaica? Share your responses in our Facebook or YouTube, Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your comments later on in the program, but first, here's I quote,
God's work done in God's way will never lack God's supply. Hudson Taylor.
God's work, wow, done in God's way. Indeed, indeed, indeed. So we must, unpack this one first, Rasheen. We must rush God. Interpret for us.
Well, God's way is always the right way, and once you're walking in God's way, then you will not lack anything because of God's supply.
Thank you, Pastor Rasheen Douglas. Thank you for explaining that to us, to me and the other persons hearing you this morning. How are you doing this morning, Rasheen Douglas?
I am doing well, so good to be connecting with you another week. It's Tuesday, so I know we're going to be sharing all the way until Thursday. So looking forward
to a great program today. The main watch. We'll be back after this break.
All right, not a problem. This is Love 101 FM, the family station.
Keep fully connected with Flow Fiber Fast Internet at home and on the road with LTE data and calls for a fast, reliable experience anywhere. Over 500 communities have been upgraded since 2020, making more of Jamaica Flow Fiber Fast. And with Yard and Road, get Flow Fiber Faster Yard and LTE Road for as low as $3,999 plus GCT. Visit discoverflow.co to get connected on Jamaica's largest network. Conditions apply.
Do you have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
Exporters, importers, all stakeholders. Get the facts on Jamaica's Authorized Economic Operator, or AEO program, at the Jamaica Customs Agency's CCC online forum. Click, connect, and converse with Customs. Thursday, June 30, 2022, from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. under the theme Jamaica's AEO program, facilitating a safer and more effective supply chain, locally and globally. Log on for AEO requirements and benefits and clarify any misconceptions. So click, connect, and converse with Customs. Thursday, June 30 at 10:30 a.m. Register at jacustoms.gov.jm. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Make I tell you about short-term motor insurance from JNGI. You choose what you need, 30, 60, 90 days policy. No long commitment, full third party. Don't park your car, don't walk, get a shorty. So affordable and it's not per nation market. JNGI shorty. Country party, we have a shorty. Just insure your vehicle and start it. Roll out with a shorty. Shorty, the short-term motor insurance from JN General Insurance. Available only online.
Get ready for another Testimony Tuesday inside Alive, 1 to 5, June 28th. Packed with inspirational stories and island-flavored music. 2 o'clock will be time for Prayer Blast. More prayer, more power. 2:15 inside The Evidence, we hear the powerful testimony of God's healing power from Sister Diane. Then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit with Pastor Lena White of the Coffee Grove and Cumberland Church of God in Jamaica. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. with me, your host, Sarah Ann, the Jerky One on the family station, Love 101.
We are on the campus nights.
Hey Campusites, it's almost summer and school is going on a break, and so is Campus Connection. But don't worry, tune in this Tuesday, June 28th inside Campus Connection for the Rewind edition as we look back on the journey. We want to hear from you, so ensure you tune in to share your favorite topics from this semester. That's Campus Connection, Tuesday, June 28th at 5:30 p.m. with the hosts you've grown to love, Anesta Samuels and Jonathan Fletcher, right here on the family station, Love 101.
You know, the Bible is much more than a compilation of ancient writings. It's the inspired revelation of God. As such, visions, dreams, and feelings, as powerful as these personal experiences may be, they should not hold more authority over our lives than the Bible. In fact, nothing supersedes the authority of the Bible. We invite you to join Bible teacher Woodrow Kroll as we seek to answer the question, is the Bible your authority? Here on Back to the Bible, Monday, June 27 through to Friday, July 1, 12:30 p.m. on Love 101, the family station.
You're tuned to Love 101 FM, the family station. Do hope you are doing well at this time. The main watch, welcome back. Of course, we're still standing by for Mr. Stokeley Marshall. Now, 4 days ago, just about every headline in the print and electronic media was carrying the news about the overturning of the Roe versus Wade landmark abortion case. It has been on the lips of many Jamaicans since then, whether in disbelief, disagreement, or with shouts of praise. But what is all about does it mean for us? We have on the line Dr. Daniel Thomas. Dr. Thomas, good morning and welcome to the Morning Watch. Of course, whilst you're doing your opening remark, we look forward to hearing what you have to say on this topic as we start this discussion. Dr. Thomas, good morning, sir. Welcome to Love 101.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So, as I said, we're still standing by for Mr. Stokeley Marshall. He'll be joining us in a little bit. But just in the meantime, just want you to give your opening remark on the topic for this morning. Go ahead.
Certainly. Now, the Roe v. Wade case was decided in 1973. And what it did was give federal protection to abortion rights, treating it as a constitutional right across America. This effectively removed the ability of the people in America to actually vote on the issue. And so what the overturning did was that it said, since there is no actual constitutional precedence, meaning there's nothing previously in the Constitution that says that abortion should be protected, and also seeing that it is not part of the history or tradition of the United States, it's important to return the vote back to the people. So there's a lot of misinformation going around that persons think or are saying that the reversal of Roe v. Wade means that abortion is now outlawed in America. That is actually not so. Every state actually now has the right to determine whether or not they want abortion, which is in keeping with America's setup. They actually have state governments, because there's an understanding that somebody in, for example, California and somebody in Texas, they might have a completely different culture. And so they now have the ability to make a decision as to whether or not they want abortion to be on their books.
All right. So I have on the line, Stokeley is back with us this morning. Stokeley.
Great. Thank you, Rushane. I don't know what we would have done without the Lord sending you as the angel today, Rushane. Thank you so much.
All right.
Because of the technological challenges we have been having, Dr. Daniel Thomas, we have heard you. We have seen as well, we're trying to get Dr. Wayne West online. In fact, he may come on after the break because of the challenges. But before we head to the break, Dr. Daniel Thomas, we have seen a lot of negative reactions to the ruling in the United States of America, protests. We have even seen where even before the ruling, some churches were invaded, I will use the word invaded, by protesters, some taking off much of their clothing in the middle of the service or during the service at some point. What are your thoughts on that, Dr. Thomas?
Yeah, man. So, abortion is a very serious thing involving the taking of a life in the womb. No,
we're well aware of that, but the reactions to the ruling.
Yeah, man. So what I'm saying is that there are many who support this very passionately, and there are many who oppose it very passionately. And so what we have seen in recent days is the tensions rising, especially since the unprecedented leaking of the Supreme Court ruling before it even happened. Tensions have been rising.
Hold that thought, Dr. Thomas, because I believe we are already upon a break. Never enough time in the morning watch. Stay with us, listeners. We'll be right back.
Tell me where you get the money transfer. Alliance. Where you get the money transfer. Alliance. Where you get the money transfer. Money move like a bird, like a plane, it's a blur. Money quick, money fast, money reach in a flash. This your agent no run out of cash. Pay the rent, pay the bills, or buy the grocery. Make a call for the cash and pay the school fee.
Money when and where you need it. Alliance MoneyGram Money Transfer. Convenient locations island-wide. A member of the Sagicor Group.
Tell me where you get the money transfer.
Alliance.
You know, the Bible is much more than a compilation of ancient writings. It's the inspired revelation of God. As such, visions, dreams, and feelings, as powerful as these personal experiences may be,
Excuse and pass my phone. Never see from me at the digital golden SIM card number for win $1 million. To enter, just top up, activate a plan or any other qualified action. Check the first 18 digits of your SIM card, then visit Digicel's social media pages or the My Digicel app on Tuesdays to check if you have the golden SIM for the week. Call 876-619-5000 to claim your prize. Text 142 to 137 for more info.
Authorized under Section 58B of the Betting Gaming and Lotteries Commission Act.
Exporters, importers, all stakeholders. Get the facts on Jamaica's Authorized Economic Operator, or AEO program, at the Jamaica Customs Agency's CCC online forum. Click, connect, and converse with Customs. Thursday, June 30, 2022, from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. under the theme Jamaica's AEO program, facilitating a safer and more effective supply chain, locally and globally. Log on for AEO requirements and benefits and clarify any misconceptions. So click, connect, and converse with Customs. Thursday, June 30 at 10:30 a.m. Register at jacustoms.gov.jm. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
When your little one has his first friend, they share hugs, games, and germs as well. He needs to be strong. Protect them with Nestle Clem 1 Plus. Clem 1 Plus contains prebiotics, vitamins, and minerals that contribute to maintain a healthy digestive and immune system, helping them to achieve 100% protection plus nutrition. Nestle Clem 1 Plus. Your love, their future. Clem 1 Plus is not a breast milk substitute from 1 year onward.
Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley. Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the main watch. Our guests are Dr. Wayne West. He is the chairman of the Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society. And we also have Dr. Daniel Thomas. Dr. Daniel Thomas is the president of the Love March movement. And we are looking at the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court's recent overturning of the Roe versus Wade abortion case. Now, before the break, Dr. Thomas, you had outlined for us in a nutshell what the Roe versus Wade decision really is about. And we have Dr. Wayne West online now. Good morning, Dr. West. How are you?
Well, I'm fine. Good morning. And good morning, Dr. Daniel Thomas. Daniel, morning.
Good morning.
Now, Dr. West.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great. Dr. West, from your angle, can you indicate for us where you see this overturning of the Roe versus Wade decision in the U.S. Affecting other countries in the world, to include Jamaica? Because we know that even though that decision was based on U.S., it was a U.S. decision, I'll leave it at that. Many persons from other jurisdictions often pointed to it, even though it may not have been a precedent that was binding on their relevant country. Any thoughts, Dr. West?
Well, a few things. First of all, I think the fact that the present Supreme Court overturned that decision is excellent because the law was in fact flawed in that the decision was created by the Supreme Court. It was not in the Constitution. So that would have precedent in that other countries like Jamaica, for example, would recognize that, flawed law is flawed law, and we do not have to follow flawed law. And I don't think that abortion should be considered at all. But if it is going to be a public policy, it is not for courts to determine that abortion should be public policy. It is for the legislators elected by the people to put it to the people, I believe, in something like a referendum. That's one. The other thing is that in terms of American foreign policy, the American government can use the excuse that in their jurisdiction, it is a quote-unquote or so-called human rights. And in doing their foreign policy, they would be seeking to have countries that they are interacting with meet the human rights standards of the United States. Now that Roe versus Wade has been removed as a so-called constitutional right, the American government has no basis on which to seek to export that. If any administration seeks to do so, it would not be part of American law. It would be purely their own, ideological bias. And really, an American administration really shouldn't use American resources to export its ideological bias.
Understood.
So I would expect that we should come under less pressure from a United States administration to do what they had done and which the Supreme Court has overturned, that is to make abortion a so-called human right.
Dr. Thomas, you were coming in a while ago?
I just want to agree with that point so much. The Biden administration has actually budgeted $597 million to export what they call sexual and reproductive health rights next year. So there's really a big global agenda. This really undercut their position. And interestingly, there are some linkages with what we are facing now in the Caribbean and African Pacific nations, which is the ACP-EU agreement, where persons are deciding that they want to impose their position and remove it from the democratic processes of individual nation states. So, this is also, I think, a big statement towards the European government, which really was trying to do the opposite of what the reversal has done.
I think you mean the European Union. There's no European government, maybe.
Right, the European Parliament, right, the European Union, and that whole setup there, which is the ACP-EU agreement. So the Roe versus Wade reversal returned the votes back to individual states for their state governments to decide. But what this ACP-EU agreement is trying to do is to remove the votes from Jamaica and other nations so that they can decide whether or not we have abortion and a whole host of other things. So it's an interesting international dynamic which is now being played out.
Very interesting. One of the things that we are noticing about the US at this time, and even before the decision to overturn came about, and I mentioned it before the break, Dr. Daniel Thomas, before Dr. West, you came on, is the reaction of many persons and groups. And, I am on record as being 100% pro-life. However, I am seeing where persons are very passionately, displaying their anger and frustration at this landmark ruling of the Supreme Court. What do you think is helping to fuel this, Dr. West? Why? I mean, I know that you are pro-life, and so is Dr. Thomas, but get into the mind of someone who is not. What do you think is fueling their anger? Why is it that they would like so much to see the termination of the lives of the unborn for whatever the relevant reason they need. They have.
That is a very interesting question. Let me just make a quick comment about courts before I answer that question. You know, also the Privy Council, for example, in the recent past, something that you don't hear over the mainstream media, have also made some very interesting decisions. Like, for example, they reversed the same-sex marriage these rulings in Bermuda, and supported the appeal court in the Cayman Islands that there is no constitutional right to same-sex marriage. So courts, these final courts of appeal seem to be becoming more conservative, and that's a very good thing. Instead of judges making laws from the bench and creating rights that are not in the Constitution, even our final court of appeal, the Privy Council, has made a statement that there is no right to same-sex marriage in Bermuda and in the Cayman Islands, where local judges sought to impose that sort of right. Well, in terms of why people want to have abortion, I think it's a complex.
Why some people? Yes.
Yeah, I don't think the people who are pro-choice is a homogeneous group, meaning that everybody thinks the same. I think there's a spectrum. There's a spectrum from persons who see women who are in crisis pregnancies and who need help, and they are sympathetic to them and they want to assist them, and they believe that that is the best way to do so. We say no, the best way to assist women in crisis pregnancies is to help both mother and child to have the best life possible. And we as a society can organize ourselves to do that. And in fact, I would argue that going forward with this removal of Roe versus Wade, we have to do even more. And we have to be even more proactive in assisting women with their crisis pregnancies, to mobilize government, the church, and other agencies to help women. So that's one spectrum of the thing. On the other side of the spectrum are feminists, pro-choice feminists, who are radical, who believe that a woman must be able to abort a child up to the day before it's born because it is her body. And these radical feminists...
I'm going to ask to pause one moment there, Dr. West, because I have heard of legislation in one of the U.S. states, I believe it's California, where they would like to have the right to abort the child even after birth, for some several days after birth. Continue, Dr. West.
But as I said, there are these other persons who, you have to put this radical feminists in that group, who are extreme, and they think that women must be able, as you say, to destroy children even after they're born, because it is their right to do so. And of course, there are no rights; they create these rights. So we are dealing with a heterogeneous group of mixed multitude.
I was shocked when I heard about that draft legislation.
I think certainly what we must do is put radical feminism, make it a pariah. It must not be part of any civilized society. This is not to say that feminism has not made a contribution. It has. Feminism has made a contribution, and we are not saying that men have not been unfair to women in the past.
In the minute or two that you have, in a couple of seconds, Dr. West, because you have kind of gone into a different realm. What is the difference between radical feminism and feminism? Because I don't think you're criticizing the people, but you're criticizing the ideology.
But feminism started with women seeking to get the vote and simply to better the condition of women in the society. And one has to go along with that. Radical feminism want to destroy marriage, want to destroy gender, the difference between the sexes, and it is that they are responsible for things like transgenderism and so on. They are a really radical Marxist type of people who wish to destroy the normal values of the society that we have at the moment and reconstruct something out of it that is to their liking, which would be like no marriage, hookup culture, which is sex as you want, and if you get pregnant, you should be able to abort the child as a result.
I might be taking it out of your zone, Dr. West, but I'm even reading online where some groups of persons in the occult are very upset at this Roe versus Wade decision being overturned. Any thoughts before we wrap today, sir?
I didn't hear you said. I didn't hear the last thing you said. You said groups were upset about it.
Yeah,
who are in the occult.
If I could.
Yeah, because like I said, of abortion have people who actually they are Satanists. Some of them are really Satanists. As I say, the pro-abortion people are not all the same. Some of them are Satanists. Some of them are radical feminists. Some of them simply want to help women with crisis pregnancy. Those two extreme groups, they must not be a part of civilized society. We must help women with crisis pregnancy.
Very concerning. Before we wrap, any final thoughts you want to leave with us, Dr. Thomas? In a
Yeah,
second
man,
or two.
I think the issue also is there's a lot of misinformation because persons wanted them to be very upset and to go after the judges, etc. They made it seem as though when the reversal came that it would be an abortion ban across the United States. But what it has done is returned it to a democratic process. So those who are upset and fighting against what has happened are actually fighting against democracy. And so that's the interesting
Have to
angle.
give it there. Very interesting note on which to end, because some of those who are upset with the decision are saying that the decision goes against democracy, but I think you're put in the correct context, Dr. Daniel Thomas. Dr. Daniel Thomas and Dr. Wayne West, I want to thank you both for being guests in this first watch. Listen, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Okay.
A JN Bank personal unsecured loan can help you tackle your goals with monthly payments as low as $19,999 per million. Conditions apply. The time by JN Bank is
7:31 right here on the Family Station, Love 101.
It's summer and Phosphorus Super Sale is on, so come on over and shop. 10 days of savings, June 20 to 30. Enjoy massive discounts on electrical lighting, solar, and LEDs. Yes, that's right. Wires, plugs, switches, LED bulbs, chandeliers, and so much more. It's Phosphorus Super Sale in Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay, June 20 to 30. Enjoy massive discounts only at Phosphorus. Open Sundays, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Attention all grade 11 high school students and parents. The Ministry of Education has paid for you to sit the City and Guilds Math and English exam on Thursday, June 30. Check with your school to see if you're registered for these exams. Don't miss the chance of a lifetime to be qualified with a certificate recognized by employers and universities worldwide. The exam consists of one paper, no SBA, no stress. A perfect alternative to the other exam. Call City and Guilds at 924-7808 or 924-7804. City and Guilds, the passport to your future.
Colgate Triple Action. 3 benefits for a deep clean. As a mother, you always want to give the best to your family and to make them happy. With Colgate Triple Action, you give them 3 reasons to smile. Cavity protection, whiter teeth, and fresh breath. A unique formula with a minty flavor they will love. Colgate Triple Action. Find it at your favorite store.
Our brother deals give extra love to dad this Father's Day. Buy a smartphone and get a free 7-day Prime Brother bundle. Upgrade your plan and get a gift of 100 gigabytes of data for social media streaming, music, movies, and live daily sports. Plus, even more any-use data, more SMS, and more minutes. No, that's data we're done. Just like your love for dad. Offer valid June 15 to 30 while stocks last. Visit a Digicel store today. Digicel, made in Jamaica.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what the Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we will quickly take a look at the Jamaica Observer, a story here which indicates some level of bravery and someone was being heroic, it would appear. Queen's old girl foils robbery attempt of students. Queen's old girl foils robbery attempt of students. That story by Claude Mills of the Observer. We have in the Gleaner reference to the U.S. Supreme Court's recent case. Supreme Court's abortion ruling sets off new court fights. Supreme Court's abortion ruling sets off new court fights. I wanted to glean and knew that we were going to be doing this morning on the Morning Watch. That's just a joke. Now, coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our Facebook and WhatsApp questions. Sometimes it's just how the Holy Spirit works. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our Facebook and WhatsApp question, which is, How do you think the U.S. Supreme Court's overturning of the Roe versus Wade landmark abortion case will impact us in Jamaica? If you haven't done so yet, leave a comment on our Facebook or YouTube, Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Get ready for another Testimony Tuesday inside Alive, 1 to 5, June 28th. Packed with inspirational stories and island-flavored music. 2 o'clock will be time for Prayer Blast. More prayer, more power. 2:15 inside the evidence, we hear the powerful testimony of God's healing power from Sister Diane. Then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit with Pastor Lena White of the Coffee Grove and Cumberland Church of God in Jamaica. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. with me, your host, Sarah and the Jerky One on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We move right into the second watch. And we had recently looked at the ACP-EU agreement and the African Caribbean Pacific / European Union agreement. And we had a guest on at the time. His name is Mr. Joseph Buckland, who very eloquently outlined for us the basic tenets of the agreement to come. Now, this morning, we want to take a fresh look at it, along with Mr. Buckland again, as well as Reverend Basil Hanson. Reverend Basil Hanson, of course, many listeners will remember, he is the founder of MTM TV, and Reverend Hanson goes by the title of Christian activist. And of course, Mr. Buckland is a well-known lecturer. Mr. Buckland, Reverend Hanson, good morning. How are you both?
Well, thank God I'm feeling okay.
Great, great. Reverend Hanson. Do we have Reverend Hanson on?
Yes, he's on, but yes.
Yes, I'm here.
We're seeing, I think, yes, unmute yourself, sir. yes, yes, you're now unmuted. Starting with you, Reverend Buckland. First of all, thank you for rejoining us here, albeit with another guest this time. When you were on recently, sir, we were looking at a number of things of major concern concerning the ACP-EU agreement. It was to have taken effect or scheduled to have taken effect this month of June 2022. In fact, we gather that from as far back as last year, it was meant to have come into force. But alas, we are almost at the end of June, and we realize that the amended agreement has not been put into force. Would you like to give us an update as to where we stand, and if you'd like to remind the listeners of the things that concern you about this agreement, sir?
Yes, thank you, Brother Stokeley. Well, thank God the ACP-EU agreement signing has been postponed until around December of this year due to several events delaying it. Based on international sources, some of these events include disagreements on the treaty within Europe itself. It is alleged from a commentary published in the Jamaica Gleaner that Hungary is continuing to object to the provisions on migration in the agreement. The Hungarian foreign minister has called the EU migration policy quote, misguided, end of quote, and has described the post-Cotonou Agreement as a new, quote, madness, end of quote, quote, essentially a migration agreement, end of quote, and stating that Hungary will not agree to sign it. I also believe there is a religious reason why Hungary is hesitant to sign it. Recently, the political leader of Hungary was baptized, and the foreign ministry of
Really?
Hungary, yes,
Are you speaking of Mr. Viktor Orban himself?
yes, and also the
Oh,
foreign ministry of Hungary has stated that Hungary is a strong Christian nation and they will continue to preserve family values as taught in the Bible. But that was not said in the
as taught in the Bible. That's what the person said.
well, as taught in the Bible is my commentary, but
Oh,
it
I
is based on the fact that it is a Christian nation and
see.
Christians get their direction or teaching from the Bible.
I see.
So I believe that has something to do with it, but I didn't mention it at the first because it was not said in the context of the ACP EU agreement, but is part of the wider context of the culture of Hungary. Another reason for the delay, Brother Stokeley, is attributed to the Ukraine war and changing relations between Europe and Africa due to migrant crises in Ukraine. So God has been working in delaying these things.
I see.
And I am thankful to the many Christians throughout the world that are praying that this agreement is not signed. So we have more time now to plan how to prevent or to influence governments in the Caribbean, Africa, and the Pacific area not to sign this dangerous treaty.
Evangelist Buckland, would you like to remind the listeners specifically what are some of the provisions in the agreement you found problematic before we bring in Reverend Hansen?
Yes, the following are problems that I have personally found in studying the document. The first and most serious problem is that if this agreement is signed, we will have to teach comprehensive sexuality education in all levels of the educational spectrum, primary, secondary, and tertiary level educational institutions. And comprehensive sexuality education means that children as young as 5, going right up to 18 or a little older, will have to be taught gender identity, that is, you decide which gender you want to be, and also to accept and respect sexual orientation, the concept that people are born with a natural attraction both to the same sex and to the opposite sexes, and that diverse sexual expressions should be respected and accepted. And also teaching that sexual relations is permissible with anyone you wish, so long as you have a condom and so long as you're not coercing the other partner into it. It is also dangerous because, politically speaking, the governments will be required to legalize lesbianism, homosexuality, bisexuality, and transgender, and also will be required to criminalize anyone who speaks out against these diverse sexual expressions, as they call it, which are against what is written in the Bible. And also, we find that the political independence of the different governments will be severely weakened because Parliament won't have the authority to say no to Europe, but the European Council of Ministers, along with representatives from the African continent, the Caribbean region, and the Pacific region, will be the final council to decide whether or not to accept any proposed amendment to the treaty. And there will be human rights institutions placed in different countries to make sure that these countries comply with the conditions of the treaty, or else trade will be abruptly ended without prior discussions.
I
And the treaty
see.
will last for 20 years at least, enough to brainwash an entire generation. And many of
I'd wanted to bring in Reverend Hanson before the break, but alas, we are already upon a break. Evangelist Buckland, hold those thoughts. We're going to come to you as well, Reverend Hanson. Listeners, stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Say thanks to Dad with a gift of unlimited from Flow. Enjoy great smartphone deals when you switch now, like a ZTE A31 for just $5,000 or a TCL 20E for just $16,900 GCT included. And both phones are loaded with 7 days of unlimited talk, YouTube, social, and data for TikTok. Plus, you get a free sunglasses. Switch at a Flow store today and keep your number available while stocks last.
The first sound they make is to simply let the world know they're here. And then it's our duty to help them show the world why they're here in the first place.
Give them every advantage with the Guardian Achiever, a plan that provides for their educational dreams and protects their health and life in the process. For more information, call 888-4LIFE to speak to an advisor or visit myguardiangroup.com.
Exporters, importers, all stakeholders. Get the facts on Jamaica's Authorized Economic Operator, or AEO program, at the Jamaica Customs Agency's CCC online forum. Click, connect, and converse with Customs. Thursday, June 30, 2022, from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. under the theme Jamaica's AEO program, facilitating a safer and more effective supply chain, locally and globally. Log on for AEO requirements and benefits and clarify any misconceptions. So click, connect, and converse with Customs. Thursday, June 30 at 10:30 a.m. Register at jacustoms.gov.jm. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
It's summer and Phosphorus Super Sale is on, so come on over and shop. 10 days of savings, June 20 to 30. Enjoy massive discounts on electrical lighting, solar, and LEDs. Yes, that's right. Wires, plugs, switches, LED bulbs, chandeliers, and so much more. It's Phosphorus Super Sale in Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay, June 20 to 30. Enjoy massive discounts only at Phosphorus. Open Sundays, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch. We're speaking to Reverend Basil Hanson, founder, MTM TV and Christian activist, and evangelist Joseph Buckland, who is also a lecturer at the Jamaica School of Preaching and Biblical Studies. And in this second watch, we're looking at a very important and interesting topic. Will Jamaica's laws be impacted by the new ACP EU agreement? Well, before the break, Evangelist Buckland, you outlined for us that, first of all, any signing of this agreement has been deferred until December of 2022. It will not be this month again, June 2022. And you were reminding us of your concerns with the agreement, and you even went further to tell us that Hungary, one of the European countries, has challenges with this agreement, and this could have been the reason why it was deferred. And on another note, you are indicating that the head of Hungary, the leader of the country, Mr. Viktor Orban himself, was recently baptized. I found that quite interesting because we're not accustomed to hearing about these sorts of news from world leaders. In relation to world leaders, you are making a few points before the break, Evangelist. Were you quite through? Because we want to bring in Mr. Hanson, but were you quite through? I don't want to cut you off prematurely.
Okay, I just had a few more problems to just list, and that is that there will be a requirement for our policies and laws to be in line with the European Union's policies and laws. In the general section of the treaty on page 23, under Article 4, entitled Policy Coherence, it says the parties shall work towards coherent policies at national, regional, and international levels with a view to attaining the objectives of the agreement. And when we look at the objectives of the agreement, we see that the most important objective of this agreement doesn't have to do with trade. According to the general section of this treaty, page 19, it says the objectives of this agreement are to A, promote, protect, and fulfill human rights. Now, that is placed at the very beginning.
I see.
Now, I'm not against human rights.
Okay.
But what I'm against is the perversion of human rights. And that is to ascribe human rights to that which God has not given any right for people to practice. And so we find that this treaty, even though it is labeled as a trade agreement, is only being used as a disguise to promote perverted human rights on a large part of the world, Africa, the Caribbean, and the Pacific. And another problem is that there are treaties and conventions that have been made previously by the United Nations that were considered soft laws. They were not hard and fast. They were subject to the constitutions and laws of other countries. But if you enter into this legal agreement, you will be bound to follow all previous treaties of the United Nations, and it won't be a matter now of being optional. You would be required to follow what they have said in previous treaties, especially concerning LGBT issues and abortion issues. And that is essentially the other problems that are there in the treaty.
Interesting. Well, from a legal standpoint, I do think that Jamaica, still being a dualist nation in its relationship with international law, I don't know if it would be automatic, but that could be another discussion. Reverend Basil Hanson, sir.
Thank you, Stokeley. Thank you for having me.
I apologize for just bringing you in at this late hour.
No, man, I'm good. I was enjoying Brother Buckland. I haven't seen him since the COVID. Morning, Brother Buckland.
Morning, Brother Hanson. It's good to hear you again.
No, man. But Stokeley, this seems to be going to the heart of what Jamaica need to value and cherish, our Constitution. I borrow a quote from Justice Clarence Thomas in recent times. He said, the American citizens seem to be more concerned about their iPhones than the Constitution. And I'm saying, when you listen to some of the things outlined, you realize how much they want to change our Constitution without even saying it to us in that way. And so we have to be very careful at this time to watch what is happening, because we hear it being branded about that, want to become a republic and wanted to change our Constitution. Now, these are some of the things that will be facilitated in the new Constitution if we don't open our eyes wide at this time. So I'm grateful that these things are coming out, and the Lord has delayed it and given us time to prepare to deal with these things. But Stokeley, anything that has to do with trade and economy is very much a soft and a sweet spot for Jamaica and more so the Caribbean. Once we hear about trade and economics, those things, we get excited. And if we're not careful, we will sell our soul. If we as the people are not mindful of these things, they could catch us unaware. And so we are grateful that you are bringing these to the fore. I want to quickly say this, Stokeley. We are accustomed to signing oppressive treaties. I'm telling you, it seems as if our colonial past is still haunting us, where we like to oppress our people. I mean, just recently you hear about the toll. Look at the kind of contract that we sign with the toll road. Every year you have to review it, and it is becoming so oppressive now. People can't bear the toll road, so we soon have to stop drive on it. So these are some of the agreements that we as Jamaicans have signed over the year that are causing oppression and not making life better for our people. What sense it makes if we have such a pretty road, but we can't drive on it because we cannot pay for it? It don't make no sense. So Jamaica is very much a country that is familiar with signing oppressive agreement, and we must hold our leaders accountable. We must know what they are doing. They are not our masters. We employ them, and we need them to do what is in our best interest. And this agreement is not in our best interest. And we must say to them, we are not going down there. We are not going to be recolonized again, because these things are recolonizing us with our eyes wide open. And so I thank Brother Buckland and others who are on the front line, watchmen, who are saying, listen, no way. So we need our government, our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Kamina Johnson-Smith, to understand that we are not signing this. We are not for it. It is recolonization in a more sophisticated way. And so our buggery laws would be affected. We have to change it. And these are some of the things that the international community wants to do. I remember years ago, Stokeley, I was in Trinidad, and I heard a comment that Jamaica is the gateway to the Caribbean. If Jamaica falls with homosexuality, everything else falls. So we are the gatekeepers, we are the watchmen, and so the international community is doing everything to get us to bow. And God is intending and saying, no, it is not going to happen. Eternal Father, bless our land. Guard us with thy mighty hands. Keep us free from these evil powers. He will be our guide throughout all of this, Stokeley. And this is where my faith is, and I stand resolute to oppose this treaty. Thank you.
Well, you know, recently we had Bert Samuels online, an attorney, and he had indicated that in his opinion, well, he said that Jamaica has no savings law clause. Well, I didn't comment in the program because I'm not the guest, I'm the host. But I don't agree with him. I'm looking back at the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms here, section 1312. It says very clearly that our laws on sexual offenses, obscene publications, and offenses regarding the life of the unborn are saved in the Charter. Without reading the exact legalese here. So they are very much saved in the Charter. I don't agree with my learned friend.
I was happy. The Lord will have me to see Mr. Samuels in a few days, and I was able to tell him straight that I did not agree with him, and what he was saying was not really correct. I mean, he's the lawyer, but I think he was wrong.
Okay. Well, I won't say he was wrong. I'll say that we differ on the point.
Well, you are more politically correct. I am not.
No, that's how we as lawyers speak to each other. You know,
yes,
we don't agree. We don't agree.
Correct. Politically correct. I am very much wrong and right kind of guy. You know what the Bible says, wrong is wrong. What it's right is right, and I stand by that.
Yeah. I understand what you mean, Reverend Nancy. The savings law clause is very clear to me. Before we wrap today, very clear to me. Yes. Before we wrap today, Evangelist Buckland, what activities, if any, do you think will be embarked on by any relevant members of the church as it regards to the deferring of this agreement? Are you trying to raise awareness? Exactly what, if anything, do you plan to do?
Okay, we have been building a strategic international planning group with like-minded parliamentarians, including parliamentarians from Africa. And our Chosen to Glow ministry has co-signed on a letter to the Prime Minister about the dangers of the ACP-EU agreement, and our linked organizations plan to make a similar letter at the level of CARICOM. We will keep in touch about any local events that may emerge from these in the coming months, God willing, because there is opposition in Europe, the problematic topics of comprehensive sexuality education have also not yet been addressed. So we are actively engaged. In fact, I just want to make a brief announcement that Political Network for Values is inviting the public to participate in the webinar entitled The Hidden Challenges of the New African, Caribbean, and Pacific EU Agreement, What to Do in the Political Arena. The date for this is Wednesday, June 29, and the webinar ID is Zoom ID 892-4809-7559, and the time is 11 o'clock in the morning. I also want to encourage listeners to go to the website eutreaty.org, and it will give them access to a website that has a petition online that you can sign your name requesting your government, whether the government of Jamaica or some other government,
have to leave it
not
there.
to sign the devious EU treaty that is
Thank
being
you.
imposed upon us.
Thank you so much, Evangelist Buckland. And of course, as I'm still saying, our savings law clause is very much there. Thank you all listeners for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we look at other topical and controversial issues, and visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. And of course, download our app and stay connected to us, the #1 gospel station in Jamaica. And this has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marshall, handing it back to Love in the Morning with Roshane Douglas.
Thank you, Stokeley. Have a great day now.
You too.
You're tuned to Love 101 FM. You're now invited to listen to Forward in Faith. Forward in Faith is brought to you by the New Testament Church of God.